Hey everyone, Andrew here, bringing you another video. And today we're going to be doing another edition of Getting to Know a DC Character. Now this is a fan-voted DC character. You guys voted on two polls that I put up on Twitter. One was to discuss what the theme would be, Justice League, Trinity, or Teen Titans, and you guys picked the Teen Titans, and then of course I put up a bunch of Titan members, and overwhelmingly you wanted to talk about our girl Raven. So let's actually get into it and talk about Raven, because Raven's such an important character to not only the Teen Titans but to the DC universe in general. And to talk about Raven, we have to talk about the Teen Titans themselves. Now see, the Teen Titans is one of the most prolific and popular teams for DC Comics, and one of the most popular teams in comic books in general. And there's been a couple iterations of them. The first iteration was, of course, the original 1960s to 70s comic, which featured Dick Grayson as Robin, Donna Troy as Wonder Girl, Aqualad Garth, and Kid Flash Wally West. Eventually, new characters came in, such as Speedy, Guardian, Lilith, Hawk and Dove, so on and so forth. And this was a popular team. A lot of people liked the comic, but eventually the comic was canceled and then relaunched and rebranded as the New Teen Titans under the powerhouse combination of George Perez and Marv Wolfman. Now, basically what they want to do is rebrand the team for a new generation, while keeping some founding core members such as Robin, Dick Grayson, Donna Troy, Wonder Girl, and Kid Flash, Wally West. They brought in some new characters. They brought in Doom Patrol's Changeling, who would later be known as Beast Boy, as we all know today as Beast Boy. He's no longer called Changeling. I used to call him Changeling all the time because that's how I grew up with him. And then, of course, they introduced three new characters of original design. The Tamaranian Princess Starfire, who could shoot star bolts out of her hands. The mechanized half-human, half-machine Cyborg. And finally, the spawn of the demon, Empath, Raven, who we're talking about today. Now, the reason why I'm bringing up all this information about the Teen Titans is that the new Teen Titans comic during the 80s was so popular, it was DC's most popular comic at the time. And it was so popular that it rivaled the X-Men, which was the thing in the 80s, for not only popularity, but also sales. I mean, at times it even beat the X-Men. New Teen Titans were huge, and because of it, it lasted a long period of time, spinning off into various different Teen Titans comics, relaunches and retcons and reboots, as well as TV shows, soon to be an animated film for Teen Titans Go, and well as a live-action show coming out, just simply known as Titans. Teen Titans is important for the DC universe because it kept the DC universe alive during the 80s. And if it wasn't for the Titans, I dare say, I don't know where the DC universe would be today. I mean, it'd still be around, but it'd be a lot different and change up quite a bit. And one of the reasons why the Teen Titans, or the New Teen Titans, was so popular and so well received was for the new characters, Cyborg, Changeling, Beast Boy, Starfire, and of course our girl Raven. If it was not for these characters who were unique, different, and relatable, who knows how the comic would have gone. I mean, of course, a lot of credit goes to the team. George Perez and Marv Wolfman crafted quite possibly some of the best comics out there with the New Teen Titans, and if you haven't read them, I strongly suggest it, because it's, in its purest form, the best that comics can put out. But really, those characters really pushed forth the popularity and the success of the comic. And Raven is, of course, an important part of that, because after her introduction in the Teen Titans, she's become a staple of the team ever since, in any way, shape, and form. Now, in actually talking about the history of Raven herself, Raven, whose real name is Rachel Roth, is a human-demon hybrid, kind of her mother and her father, who is a demon overlord, extra-dimensional being of a cosmic-level threat, Trigon. Now, Trigon is an absolute dick. Right? Trigon loves to conquer worlds and destroy things and make everyone's life shitty. It's kind of like that co-worker that you just can't stand at all. And what he does is he goes to various different worlds that he's going to conquer. He impregnates a woman, and basically his child will herald the coming of Trigon. And of course, Raven has to be that person. I believe her mother was part of the cult of blood, and that is what kind of got things steamrolling. Of course, Raven's mother, who found out that her boyfriend was actually a demon lord who wants to conquer the world and make everything shitty, decides, you know what? It's not me, it's you. I'm going to go over here and peace out. And she leaves. And she goes to a pacifistic monastery called Azarath. And the Azarathian monks help Raven grow up and learn her unique empathic powers that she has. Because Raven has a ton of unique empathic powers. Allows her not only to control her powers, but also to control the demon side of her. Because while she is very much human, and she looks human, Raven does have her demon side. She is half demon. And in fits of rage, or when she's under possession of her father, she is a full-fledged powerhouse of a demon. Possibly one of the strongest of her siblings. Oh yeah, she has a ton of siblings that are demon dicks, too. So, with that said, eventually Raven goes to the Teen Titans and to warn them of a disastrous future that's coming in, eventually gets integrated into the team themselves and becomes a, well, pretty permanent fixture to the team. Things are going well for Raven for the most part until, well, the influences of her father start to take over, and slowly but surely she becomes a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little bit more possessed by him, when finally he decides to make his move and conquer the world, and she becomes his loyal servant. Of course, through the power of love and the intervention of the Teen Titans, Raven is able to break his bonds and help the team defeat him. Depending on what continuity you look at, right? I'll talk about that more later. Raven would go evil every once in a while. Probably the most notably is when she interrupted Starfire and Dick Grayson's wedding, which was incredibly dickish of her. But for the most part, Raven has been able to keep her demonic half under control, even using it in a way to fight against her father. I need to stress how powerful Trigon is. Trigon, although not used that often in comics much anymore, is a cosmic level being that rivals that of Darkseid or the Anti-Monitor. He's just an overwhelming beast. The fact that Raven's able to push him back in any way, shape, or form is an impressive feat in that herself. And that's the basic gist of Raven. In the New 52, her origin was changed a little bit to incorporate stuff with the Phantom Stranger, and instead of being part of the new Teen Titans team, which was Dick Grayson, Donna Troy, Kid Flash, and all that, she was part of Tim Drake's team. And the origin was pretty much the same, possessed by Demon Lord Trigon, held his coming in destruction, and eventually breaks the bonds and joins up with the Teen Titans. Rebirth makes it unclear exactly how the continuity fits in with her. We know that there is no new Teen Titans team, so it's assumed that the New 52 continuity is still used, but rather just a little bit more different, because there was a lot of strings hanging with the New 52 continuity, which never got resolved with her. But that's neither here nor there. Whatever the continuity it is, whatever the team it is, Raven's story is relatively the same. And that's what is great about her. She's consistent. And she, again, is a consistent member of the Teen Titans. Almost every Teen Titans iteration since her introduction has had her on there at some time or some point. She is a loyal, steadfast member, and, well, quite possibly their strongest. With that said, let's talk about powers and abilities. Raven, my girl Raven, she is a powerful empath, and with that comes a lot of unique abilities. Most importantly is her soul self. Now, you're probably wondering, what is a soul self? Well, Raven has the ability to project her soul, her essence out into an avatar or construct. Think of it as a really powerful Green Lantern construct that is actually her soul. With this, she can do various different things. She can attack people, she can hold people, she can fly around, she can invade people's minds and various different other stuff, and really cause a lot of damage with her soul self. She can also use it to protect and heal people if necessary. The only downside to actually using her soul self is, well, exactly that. It is her soul. And being away from her body too long will result in her death. Not just that, but her body is vulnerable while she is actually out with her soul self. Raven has since learned to control and manipulate her soul selves in various different ways where she's not quite as vulnerable. She's also a powerful empath. She has the ability to take people's pain away and heal them up that way. Literally, not only emotional pain, but physical pain out, and just literally remove it and place it on herself. So let's just say you're Robin, and you get shot in the shoulder, and you're bleeding out. Raven can go up there and heal that wound, but she takes on the pain and the emotion of that herself. It really makes Raven a cleric in the D&D world. Actually, if you look at the Teen Titans themselves, they're pretty much a D&D campaign, right? You have Raven, who's a cleric. You have Beast Boy, who's a druid. You have Starfire, who's a sorceress. You have Cyborg, which could be the paladin, right? Robin, who's a ranger. Oh, wow, this is really coming along crazily well. Maybe Marv Wolfman and George Perez played a lot of D&D back in the day. Anyways, in addition to her ability to heal people and have emotional connection to them, she also has limited telekinesis, so she can move objects around, mostly with her soul self, but in various other ways. In addition to that, she has the ability of flight. Raven, well, in her demon form, has pretty much the same powers, only escalated tenfold, and becomes such a powerful threat that even the Justice League would be careful when fighting her. Raven has a little bit of hand-to-hand combat training, but not anything major. She's able to hold her own pretty well, but it's really her empathic abilities that make her powerful. And just on a whole, she is kind of a Swiss Army knife for the team. Whatever the team needs her to do, she's able to do it. Raven has been de-aged in the DC universe on more than one occasion. When she originally shows up, she's 18 years old, roughly, and eventually she dies, goes away, whatever, and comes back, gets revitalized as a 14-year-old. Of course, the New 52 whitewashes her continuity, and now she's portrayed as just a 15-year-old. So she basically has the physical attributes of a normal 15-year-old who engages in moderate exercise and physical activity. Why is Raven such a great character, and why do I like her? Well, Raven's an interesting character because when you look at her, you think emo goth, just hates the world, and that's kind of the impression that you get from the Teen Titans show on the surface. But Raven's actually an incredibly empathic, loving, caring individual who would do anything for her friends. She's not sassy or snappy that a lot of people would think, and she's not super emo goth either. She's actually very loving and caring, and because of that, she's kind of the heart and soul of the Teen Titans. She also has a really cool backstory with her, and a lot of her stories tend to be on the epic grand scale. And, well, she's unique in the Teen Titans, right? Although her powers are pseudo-magic, they're not really. They're just really powerful, I don't want to say cosmic, but, I don't know, supernatural powers. But she has unique powers in comparison to the rest of the Titans. And that's the kind of thing that makes her so cool. I do not like the Teen Titans without her. She's just kind of a staple, and she's always been since her introduction. So with that said, we're going to jump into our short reading list of comics that if you want to get into Raven, well, these are definitely what you should pick up. Okay, so when reading Raven, you're basically reading the Teen Titans because that's primarily what she shows up in. And the best place to start is with the George Perez, Marv Wolfman material of the new Teen Titans. Now, the new Teen Titans has been collected in various different formats. What I have here is the Archive Edition, which is a hardcover series that deals with several of the first issues and as well as first story arcs for the new Teen Titans. Of course, the introduction of Raven herself into the team. Now, the George Perez Marv Wolfman series has been collected in various different ways. The Archive series is actually one of the most expensive ones. They go for about $49.99 a piece. I'm sure you can find them online for cheaper, or if you're savvy enough, go to a comic store, and they're probably discounted there. Trade paperbacks aren't quite as huge with the older stuff as they were when I kind of started collecting the trade paperbacks, so I'm sure you can find these for less. But there are actual paperback versions which would be half the price and which you can get into. But the Archive series is a 4-volume series which, again, focuses on the new Teen Titans and their first stories. Right? With that said, after we talk about the Archive edition, the next story you should get is Terra Incognito. This is just, on a whole, a good Teen Titans story, which, of course, Raven plays a fairly important part, too, which also this sequel follow-up, which is going to be Teen Titans The Judas Contract. Again, these are very Terra-focused and also Nightwing-focused, but Raven plays a very important role in it. Probably one of the most important stories for Raven would be the new Teen Titans, the Terra Trigon. This is when Trigon finally makes his major move against the Teen Titans in the world, and Raven, as you can see, goes full Divan, is caught in between it all. The George Perez Marv Wolfman stuff is just absolutely fantastic and a must pick up. Now, there's been various different Teen Titans comics since. There's been the Teen Titans series done by Jeff Johns that goes all the way up into the mid-2000s. While that series does have its merits, it's not something that I think is necessary for people to get into, nor do I think it's something that's important for Raven herself. There's also the New 52 Teen Titans, which does her new origin, but I'm going to be straight up and honest, the New 52 Teen Titans wasn't really that good at all. However, the Rebirth Teen Titans comic is actually pretty good. So it's currently in still in his individual issues, but you can pick up the trades now. And while there hasn't been a Raven-focused story, this is just solid Teen Titans writing all around, and Raven does play a pretty big part through and through. I don't have the comic here, but Raven does play a part in Justice League No Justice, which has recently come out, and will be playing a part in the upcoming Justice League Dark, which is a new revival of it. Two series that I recommend getting into would be first, the first of the Rebirth Raven series, or this is I believe the New 52 series. I could be wrong. But basically, no, this is the Rebirth series. Basically, long and short of it is this is a 6-issue miniseries that was written by Marv Wolfman that tackles Raven's individual ventures, and it is a very well done, very well crafted series of stories for her. And again, 6-issue format. If you can't find the trade, I don't know if there's a trade out there, but picking up these 6 issues would be well worth it. And currently going on right now, even better miniseries for Raven would be the 12-issue Raven Daughter of Darkness series, which again done by Marv Wolfman. If you notice, Marv Wolfman is kind of a necessity when dealing with Raven because he does her so well. And of course, if you want the video format, the Teen Titans cartoon is a good place to go. Raven plays a prominent role in there. But as well as that, I also recommend getting Justice League vs. Teen Titans, which was the animated film that came out recently. As well as, if you like playing video games, she does show up in Injustice Gods Among Us, but that's not a huge thing that you need to get into. But the Justice League vs. Teen Titans is a solid story through and through. Like I said, overall, Raven's a really cool character and definitely worth getting into. The great thing is she's a package deal, right? You get into Raven, you kind of get into the Teen Titans. And the Teen Titans is like a family, right? You get absorbed into them, and you find out that there's a lot of members that you fall in love with. So hopefully in your adventures in getting to know Raven, you get to know other Teen Titans members and fall in love with them too. But with that said, this is Andrew ending this video and saying peace out for now.